I have a new video for you guys because Britney Spears has a huge court hearing tomorrow where the judge will determine whether her new co-conservator, Bessemer, has the same amount of power as her father, James Spears. Obviously, Britney does not want her father in her life, controlling her life any longer, so hopefully the judge will give Bessemer most of the power. So let's talk about it. As you guys know, Britney Spears has been stuck in a conservatorship for almost 13 years now. I believe it's actually 13 years now. And people are starting to wake up to the Free Britney movement, which I'm really excited about. And I'm so hyped that there are so many new people who care about Britney and the Free Britney movement. But we've got court coming up, and today I want to walk through what is exactly happening in that courtroom so that you guys know what is going on. Here is a summary of the court's agenda. You can see in the little facts and argument bit that it says that Britney's lawyer, Samuel Ingham, submitted the proposed order to add Bessemer to the conservatorship on December 11th, which is actually my birthday. Then James's lawyer objected only 3 days later. Vivian Thorne, who you guys might recognize from the Free Britney documentary, she turned in some more objections on the 27th of January, and then Britney's lawyer responded on the 3rd. So there have been tons of objections back and forth between James and Britney's team on whether Bessemer should be part of this conservatorship. Obviously, James is trying to stop it, but Britney's lawyer is hard at work and he's trying to make sure that her wishes are granted. You guys know Britney has been very clear and upfront that she does not want her father to be running her life anymore. We have seen this written out in court documents presented to the judge. And it says Britney is strongly opposed to her father continuing as sole conservator of her estate. So she doesn't want him to be the only one running her life. I don't even think she wants him running her life at all because she's been open in the past that she's literally scared of him. But she wants Bessemer to jump in and start protecting her resources because it seems like the money that Britney has made has been finessed with, and she wants people to be accountable and to control her estate with some morals and some respect. I mean, you guys know Andrew Wallet was involved in her finances at some point, and he was extremely risky with her money, and she should be worth a lot more than what they say. But again, here is the agenda for the court hearing going down tomorrow. And I want to revisit some of those objections I was just talking about. On January 27th, James's lawyer, Vivian, who again was in that documentary, she actually filed objections against the appointment of Bessemer to be the co-conservator. They pretty much want to protect the powers that they have. Pretty much in tomorrow's court hearing, the judge will have the power to say that Bessemer has full control or has 50% control, or maybe even land, because you guys know Britney's mother has become more and more involved. She might get 25% of power. I don't really know. But the point of tomorrow is to break down this appointment and to spell out how much power each person has. Because if James Spears and Bessemer are both conservators, who's like the main one? Or do they have the same powers? Or does James control a certain part? That's what we need to spell out. I could walk through Vivian's objections, but I think it would make more sense to walk through what Sam has submitted because he went through all of Vivian's objections and he told her off for every single one. He's like, oh no, Queen, you are not right in this situation, and I think you already know it. I wonder if she actually watched the documentary because she was legit in it. Okay, I've got my glasses on, so let's go ahead and walk through it. So as you guys can see, this was submitted on the 3rd of February, but it's for the 11th tomorrow when they will be discussing in court. And it's objections to Vivian's objections of the appointment of Bessemer. Sam first calls out the fact that James's lawyers never brought up a problem when this was first discussed. So they talked about this back in November, on the 10th of November. And during that hearing, James didn't say anything. He didn't speak up about the issues he had with Bessemer, or his lawyers didn't speak up for him. So why is he randomly bringing it up now? And pretty much Sam is bringing up that point. And he even says that this motion to appoint Bessemer has already been approved. Everything has been approved by everyone else except for James's lawyers because they're the ones that have the issues. probably because they're trying to protect him. Then he goes into more detail because pretty much Vivian is trying to say, oh, we're violating the process, this isn't going down as standard as it should, and he says, BS, this is actually absurd. The appointment order naming the new co-conservator of the estate is inherently consistent with the prior appointing of James to act alone, pretty much calling out the fact that James shouldn't have all this power here. The conservatorship isn't designed to function in that way. Then Vivian tries another strategy to object. Pretty much she claims that the appointment of Bessemer has nothing to do with James's power. So just because there's a new co-conservator who is being appointed doesn't mean that my client, Mr. James Spears, loses his power. And that isn't true because James doesn't have almighty power. If there's a co-conservator appointed, that will take away from James's power because he's no longer the sole conservator of Britney's life. On the next page, she even claims that Britney asked for this allocation of powers to go down, and that's why we're doing this. And then she pushes that narrative by telling them that Judge Penny really has no right to change James's powers. Like, we are meeting to discuss Bessemer's powers and their powers alone, what they can do with Britney's estate. This conversation has nothing to do with James and what he can do or what he can't do. But Samuel argues that. He says, of course it does, because if we're appointing someone else to be at the same role as he is, then it's going to change his responsibilities over the conservatorship. This is when it gets shady, because Sam literally asks them, with the appointment of Bessemer, who is a highly trusted and educated financial firm, why would James, as the layperson, retain his powers, his unrestricted powers, to select his own professional investment advisors, separate and apart from Bessemer Trust? That doesn't make sense at all. They need to work together. Bessemer and James need to both work together when it comes to finances. They can't just split it up and James can do what he wants with his money. The document literally says, once again, this result simply makes no sense. And it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, would Britney's father just get half the money? He could just do whatever he wants with it? That's not the point of conservatorship. It's to protect Britney and try to retain as much money as we can because y'all have been super risky with it. Then Samuel addresses the surety bond. If you don't know what a surety bond is, it's pretty much like a debt, like a amount of money that you owe. And in my understanding, pretty much you guys know James has spent a lot of Britney's money, and Samuel Ingham has called out some of those charges and they haven't been explained yet. We've talked about that in previous videos, and pretty much his lawyer is trying to argue that this surety bond just disappears and goes away. Like he doesn't owe any more debt anymore. But that's frankly not the case, and he calls out the fact that James has money that he owes because he hasn't explained where that money went, like the random $80,000 charge that Lou and Taylor had. Like, there are so many instances that we've talked about in the past. Samuel writes, needless to say, his surety bond as sole conservator of the estate cannot be exonerated unless and until all of his accountings have been proved. So we need to figure out what you did with that money before we just let you go like that. Then finally, Samuel calls out the fact that his client Britney is requesting for this to go down, yet her conservator is fighting against her. That's not how this relationship is supposed to work. The conservator is supposed to protect you and honor your wishes and make sure that the best things are happening for you, but it doesn't seem like James is doing that, and that's why there are so many people that are upset. I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but literally in August, Britney Spears signed her name at the bottom, claiming that she wants Bessemer to be her new conservator. She signed it with ink. This is Britney's wishes. And matter of fact, at the same time, her mother filed similar paperwork supporting Britney. Literally, Lynn Spears hereby nominates Bessemer Trust to serve as a conservator. You guys know Lynn got herself involved last summer in Britney's conservatorship, and I'm honestly really hype about that because I feel like Lynn does have Britney's best interests in mind because she really hasn't benefited off of Britney like James has. Plus, she has a horrible relationship with James, so I don't think she's on Team James. The last thing I want to bring up in this video is that there will be future court hearings. So we've got the one coming up today/tomorrow, whenever. I'm filming it the day before, but you guys know what I mean. Then we've got one coming up the month after on the 17th. We've got one on the 27th of April, and then one on the 1st of April in 2022. So that's really far away. But I will be here for you guys to update you on what's going on. You guys know I really care for Britney and I want her to be free. So we need to stay on top of this. I know Free Britney is trending a lot right now, but we need to continue to free Britney and stay very involved in the courtroom so that we know exactly what's going on. But thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.